All right, welcome back to Brush Up Your Game under the operation of the shipyard. Switch that, reverse it. The shipyard under Brush Up Your Game. There we go. All right, people ask, how in the world do I counter my opponent when they do blank? When they have high attack? When they have this tech that keeps me from killing their ships, when they have crew that make it so that they have super high defenses. Welcome to the wonderful world that is disruption. You need it. You gotta have it. This is how you alter your opponent's plans. I've said for a long time, I'm a decent attack wing player, but I am not good enough to beat my opponent in a straight up fight if they get to do what they want to do without me messing with their build. Likewise, if they mess with my build, I get annoyed. But for the most part, if they get to do what they want to do, I need a way to mess with them. Otherwise, they're going to run all over me. So, this is how we start the conversation about ways to mess with builds. Disruption. So, card one, kidnap. Sounds like it should mess with crew, right? Well, it's a Ferengi card, and it's a Ferengi captain on a Ferengi ship. It's annoying and it's limited, but you gotta take an action. Disable all of your remaining shields, target a ship at range 1 to 2. It's not cloaked, has no active shields, right? A lot of limitations here. However, you get to steal a crew upgrade. Worst case, if you don't have a crew slot, you have to discard it instead of stealing it. But this is one, if you have a crew slot open, you get to take their Riker, you get to take their Odo, who's copying effects. You get to use their stuff against them. And stealing is an even better form of disruption as opposed to discarding their stuff. So, I'm not starting off with like the most powerful card, but I'm starting off with one of the most intriguing cards because it gives you a way to be very annoying. Now, a card like Croesus, this is that pure discard ability. But there's a little bit more. You don't have to disable your shields. You don't have to have their ship have no shields. No, instead, you just target a ship at range 1. You get to disable crew or tech, right? We like options. And then you still get to steal a crew of your choice. So if they have a crew tech combo that's really annoying, getting in your face, preventing you from killing their ship, now you can mess with both. This is, I think Croesus might see some more play with Romulan cloaking device coming into the meta. You can disable their tech, right? Disable that Romulan cloaking device, then steal that crew that's being very annoying. Now, we ignore the fact that it's costs drone tokens with a board captain. Just don't put Croesus on a ship with a board captain. It's easy enough, right? Okay, data. This is Sherlock data. I know, kind of a prize card, limited availability. However, you want a card that's maybe a little bit of a gamble, but still not that much. Yeah, it's an action. You roll a die. 25% of the time, nothing's going to happen. 25% of the time, you're going to get to discard the captain that's on the battle station. 3 out of 8, 37.5% of the time, you get to discard a crew. But 1 out of 8, 12.5% of the time, you get to discard a card of your choice. That means you can take out an ambassador. You can take out an admiral. You can take out whatever it is that's annoying you. Maybe it's worth that gamble. I don't know. You got to make the choice. But data is one of the very few cards that lets you target anything you want. Something to consider. Just something that's out there. All right. Terra. Now, Terra can only go on an Endorian battle cruiser, so right now, even with that, that's a very limited option. She's also very expensive and very low on range 1. But she will discard a captain or an admiral, right? Discarding admirals, very limited play. We've got some very good admirals in this game. The fact that she can discard admirals, probably worth those 5 points of targeting. Again, that's the disruption when somebody's building a fleet, having that admiral there who they're depending on to do their thing. Terra throws a spanner in the works and messes with what they're doing. Oh, good old reliable Gol Madred. Now, this is how you target annoying captains. Now, Gol Madred can be a captain or an admiral. As a captain, you can boost his skill. He works a little differently. I say just run the admiral version of Gol Madred. It gives you... you take the action. You're going to roll 2 defense dice. As long as you roll... as long as you don't roll a battle station, you're getting to discard the captain. Or if their captain is low enough skill, you're discarding the captain anyways. Gol Madred is a pain in my side. I think Gol Madred is still one of the top 3 or 4 admirals in the game. And Gol Madred just gets rid of a captain. Now, he does cost himself, right? This is a one-time shot if you're successful. But I think it's a noble sacrifice. And it's that disruption that you have planned for that your opponent has not. So I think it's a viable trade-off. All right, back to Ferengi. Acquisition. Another elite talent. But acquisition lets you steal non-Borg tech or weapons. Right? We haven't talked about stealing weapons. We've got some good weaponry to steal. And this bypasses ships restrictions, so you can steal some ways of boosting your attack dice, having a nice secondary weapon to make some shots. Ferengi getting to run some quantum torpedoes. Why not? Why not? Options. It's all about options, and it's more taking away things that your opponent's paid for and saying, nope, mine. Or at least, nope, not yours. All right. This was kind of my find, and I went through, posted this in the Fremont Discord, and people said, why you gotta be mean? Esri is going to be maybe kind of fun. I don't know. We'll see. But she gets to target a ship at range 1 to 3. And we haven't seen a lot of that. And steal tech. And I think she is going to be one of the best abilities here to steal Romulan cloaking device or any of the other fun tech that we're seeing. Now, granted, when she steals it, she's going to put a disable upgrade. That's okay. It's more about saying you can't have it. But the fact that she can target any tech, and tech is becoming more and more valuable, that's where I believe Esri is going to actually be very worthwhile, and I am rating her a lot higher than I used to, just because of how much more valuable tech is, and how much more I consider it worthwhile to say, I don't like you having the tech that you have, I want it instead. All right, Yito. I believe Yito came on the Blood Oath card pack, so somewhat newer. But Yito says that you got to discard this card, target an opposing ship that has no active shield, so you're limited that way again. But you get to disable a crew and then steal a crew. You don't have to disable, it's an and/or. But the fact that you can hit them twice, hit a ship twice with this, and you've got range 1 to 2, I think there's some nice potential there. Plus, being dual faction means you're not going to pay a faction penalty on a whole lot more ships. You have a ton more potential with where he's going to fit in at 4 points as opposed to needing to pay 5 for him. I think he's going to see a little bit of play. I don't think he sees a ton, but I do think there's some more viability for Yito to come in here and help you when it comes to stealing stuff. All right, the granddaddy, the kind of gold standard of disruption, second of 5. Very simple. Target a ship range 1 to 2, discard this, and discard an upgrade of your choice. Upgrades, of course, talents, crew, weapon, tech, Borg, question marks. Yeah, second of 5 discards just about anything you need to discard. Won't target captains or admirals or ambassadors, and I don't think he targets construction icons, but he gets rid of a lot of things. And that cheap disruption, 3 points, maybe 4 points, typically 4 points, is enough to say, yeah, that's the kind of disruption I need to just say, no, you can't have that. Now, there's ways to prevent that, but most of all, I like running second of 5 with a card like Goval, so you get 2 uses of second of 5, and that's even more powerful. All right, for a little bit of fun, an ambassador Vlar. And this is disruption right at the beginning of the game. If you choose to deny the negotiations, you have to discard a crew from the get-go. Now, you might have to deny those negotiations because negotiations accepted in order to do a lot of this text, where you have to disable an upgrade of the opponent's choice equipped to your ship with a cost of 3 or less. Both ships have to have an upgrade of a cost of 3 or less. Note, ambassadors aren't upgrades. So a smart player uses a Vlar on a ship without any other upgrades and forces the opponent to deny the negotiations, and then they're losing a crew right away. They have to discard a crew from the get-go of the game. That hurts. That really hurts. So yeah, Vlar is disruption from the get-go. Yeah. All right, ROM. Nice, cheap crew. Where you get to disable up to 2 tech at range 1 to 3. Granted, this is just disable. It's not stealing. It's not discarding. But with cards we've seen, Prometheus tech, Sutherland tech, where you're almost unkillable, this is the kind of choice you might consider to bring on your fleet so that you have a round where you get to disable 2 things. They can't re-enable them both on the same round, and you get to make that shot that might make the difference, might knock their shields out, might do a lot of things. So I think ROM is worthy of some play. I think ROM is good disruption. Gonna mess some things up. And the last card I have brought up is Caliphate, where you get to have a little bit of a gamble. Where you choose a crew, they choose a crew. Each player rolls 5 attack dice. Whoever rolls fewer hits and crits has to discard their crew. It's a pure gamble. But if they have very limited crew, or all their crew are valuable, and you bring fodder crew, Caliphate could have its use. You're at least potentially getting rid of somebody important in their combo, their well-oiled machine. So, Caliphate, I think, is another nice little include, nice little way to potentially mess them up, gum up the works, as they would say. And, yeah. Let's of course not forget cards like Gen Cisco and Koth that disable from the get-go. Those are our gold standards. Now, I did not pull images of them up, but I think these are cards that we've seen a lot of, that we pretty much know how they work. Gen Cisco, you target a ship at the start of the game, disable 2 upgrades on that ship, and Koth disables 1 crew per ship at the start of the game. So those are ways to disable a lot of stuff from the get-go, basically turn it into a turtle game while you re-enable everything. Actually, Koth might be time tokens. I need to remember that. But lots of ways to mess with stuff from the get-go. So all that to say, disruption. Disruption in attack wing. Very important. I think more important every day, but a constant you can keep coming back to, where even if you want to build a little bit of it in, I think you're still better off to have a little bit than none. But a lot of it becomes fun. Too much won't help you. So have at least some. All right. That's the attack wing portion. Now we get to the brush up your game side of it. What can we take away from this? You need to be able to do something to mess up your opponent's plan in every game. Every game benefits from saying, I get what you're trying to do. However, if I let you run with your plan, your engine works too well. Whether it's in a drafting game, having some hate drafting, where you mess with the card that they want. Whether it's in a game like Agricola, where you take a spot that's maybe just slightly less advantageous to you, where you know it's much more advantageous to your opponent to take. Maybe it's a game like Carcassonne, where you are trying to horn in on their city or horn in on their farm, and you spend resources where you're like, hey, I'm okay sharing. Are you okay sharing? And they go, no. And then you've made them waste time and resources, tiles, getting in on something they already controlled just because you chose to try to control it. A game like Ticket to Ride, where maybe you don't need that little connection between Atlanta and Nashville, but by taking it, you're going to make people go around. And who knows, maybe you end up needing it later on in the game. You might. But being that little disruptor where you say, I'm okay throwing a little chaos in this, it helps you. I guess what this basically becomes, putting it in D&D terms, you're playing chaotic neutral. Maybe it's chaotic evil, but I think mostly it's chaotic neutral. You are saying, very simply, you are going to win if you do your thing. I have to stop you. And I'm okay with that. Let's make that happen. And I get that you're trying to stop me as well. Let's see who's best at it. All right. Thank you all for listening. Really do appreciate it. I guess I'm going to turn into every other YouTuber. Leave a like. Please comment. Let's keep the discussion going. What's your favorite ganking card? What do you like to do to mess with people? Mess with them in attack wing builds. Mess with them in other games. Let me know. Let me know some other games where you play some disruptive strategies. I'd like to hear it. I always do enjoy those kind of conversations. All right. Take care, everybody. And until next time, keep brushing up your game.